Welcome back, everybody, to the Below Average Joe's MMA Podcast, episode number 92. We're here. It's a Monday, beautiful Monday morning.
A beautiful spring day.
And right now,
I'm fighting hungover.
Just want to take a second. Just Saturday really took a lot out of me. I had such an adrenaline dump Saturday. I couldn't even walk upstairs to go to bed.
Yeah.
Slept on the couch.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I got for you.
We're beginning a new week. We're here with another results and recap, this time for UFC 261. 3 title fights, 1 new champion. The streak continues for 3 title fight cards. 8 now. All 8 have had a new champion.
And if you didn't know that, you should check out our Wednesday special episode from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Just to plug. Just start the episode.
Just a little plug. But since we are starting a brand new week, Dominic, how are you feeling, my friend?
I am on a fight hangover, but it's incredible because it's not painful.
Yeah.
It's just, we witnessed one of the most memorable UFC events that has ever occurred. Many reasons.
It might be the most memorable.
Fans were back.
For a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Both good and bad.
Yeah. We can get more into it.
Yeah, but even if you take out the memorable part, it's one of the best cards top to bottom.
Yeah.
To get your money's worth, like this is like if you have a friend who's on the fence, like when you were showing me UFC for the first time, this would be the kind of card you would want to introduce someone to.
Yeah.
Because you get everything here.
Literally.
The brutality aspect of the sport, along with some of the beautiful aspects. The fans were adding a lot to the event last night. But before we get too deep into these fights, it's time for the news.
The news.
We got one fight announcement to talk about, but
a big fight announcement. Really, kind of just happened so quick, huh?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that it kind of happened without there being much talk behind the scenes. It just out of nowhere kind of here.
Yeah.
June 12th, UFC 263, we got our headliner. Not going to be Davison versus Moreno 2. But Israel Adesanya back in his kingdom of UFC middleweights. He's going to be going up against Marvin Vettori.
Yes, the rematch.
The rematch, a few years in the making. As you all might know, Marvin Vettori is the closest gentleman to ever come to beating.
Technically speaking, he is.
If you go by scorecards.
Yes.
Kelvin technically took him to the brink, but Marvin Vettori did win on one of the 3 judges' scorecards against Adesanya. This was a fight when both guys were much younger in their careers, still on the come-up. Obviously, Vettori's path took him a little longer than Adesanya's did, but now Vettori coming...
That's Vettori's last loss.
Yeah, I mean, true. And he's looked really good over the last year. His fight with Hermanson, he showed a lot of capabilities, not just on the ground, but on the feet. His fight with Holland, Holland taking that fight short notice.
Copy-pasted from Brunson.
I mean, Kevin Holland's very much a tough guy to figure out on the feet because of his length, and Vettori kind of doing what Brunson had already done before, taking him down. But Vettori's really coming into his own here, and I'm very much looking forward to this fight.
Yeah, this is a very fun fight. Again, a rematch in the making. Izzy obviously has went on a tear ever since he beat Marvin. Marvin has not lost since that fight. He's won 5 straight. And stylistically, it's a good clash because Izzy, of course, is the striking genius. Marvin, as Noah likes to say, he's not great in any particular aspect, but he's good at every one of them.
Right.
Know?
And what he's probably best at is going to be getting this fight to the ground. And Adesanya coming off a loss at light heavyweight to Jan Blachowicz, who really reinforced
presented a little bit of a blueprint, huh?
Just potentially. Maybe. That was at a higher weight class, 205 pounds. Vettori is a very big guy, though, for this middleweight division.
Yeah.
Just saying, if you look into it.
Right.
There is a path to victory for Vettori here. Probably one. A lot of people might not like Vettori's chances here, but I'm just going to say his path to victory might be more obvious than, let's say, Robert Whittaker or really anybody else in this division.
It's true.
He does present something. Speaking of Robert Whittaker.
Yes.
Dana also reinforced with this announcement that Robert Whittaker would be next for the winner of this fight.
And Rob was offered this before Marvin, but he could not make the quick turnaround because Izzy was dead set on the June 12th date. As we all know, Robert just fought. He has to travel and do all the quarantining for Australia and stuff, so the timeline didn't make sense. He will await the winner and more than likely fight in the early fall.
And you know why? A lot of people were upset about this, but I'm fine with it.
Yes, so long as that holds true and Rob doesn't have to fight anyone else, I'm fine with it.
The only way that that's going to fall apart is if the winner of this title fight gets hurt.
Yeah, that could be true.
Injury, and I think that's where a lot of people's anger is coming out, is that they feel like, no, Rob earned it. Izzy should wait. But I just think the champion when you have a belt, you're the one that has the say here.
Yeah. And I'm glad he's ready to fight.
He just fought.
That says a lot about Izzy, too.
Yeah, I mean, Israel's coming off a loss, a very tough loss at that, where he tried to become champ, and that could have opened the door to like a John Jones super fight or God knows what. He loses. So he's kind of brought back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's looking to really get that win back and in a big way.
Yeah.
So if Robert's not ready, and he shouldn't be, I mean, if I'm him, I'm not taking that fight. This is your rematch that you had to go and earn.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it on a month and a half.
No, not against a guy like Izzy. There's no way.
So smart on him, but I'm glad that the UFC is reinforcing that he is really the number one contender. He's just going to go after Vettori.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about timing.
Exactly.
Now, moving on to the rest. PFL debuted the other night.
Yes, they did. Their opening card of the year.
Mm-hmm. So Friday night, you got the first week of PFL action. And lightweights and featherweights going at it. We're going to start with the featherweights.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Lance Palmer, the man who had won the featherweight tournament for 2018 and 2019, going up against Bubba Jenkins.
Love that name, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Bubba Jenkins shocking the world, beating Lance Palmer 30-27 on all three judges' scorecards.
Yeah, clean sweep.
Lance Palmer, an Ohio boy, someone that we rooting for, but he goes down in week one, and not just that, but the debut of potentially this huge star for the PFL.
Yeah, one of the new faces of the whole organization.
Anthony Pettis in the main event loses in his first fight for the promotion to Clay Collard. Cassius Clay Collard.
Yeah, and outside of one moment for Anthony in the third round, it was all Collard, to be
29-27 times 2 and 29-28, all for Collard, unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Man, Anthony Pettis is such a streaky fighter, ain't he?
And it sucks for him because, everybody loves some showtime.
Yeah,
and to debut, and obviously a smaller promotion, but still prominent in MMA, but to go down like that, it's just like, okay, is this where he's at in his career? Was it just one bad night? What's going on here?
For Lance Palmer, it's more understandable. The guy's 34 now, hasn't fought.
Yeah.
Because he's been with the PFL.
Yeah, nobody fought last year.
He hasn't fought. He didn't get greenlit to go fight for some
Kayla.
other promotion.
Yeah.
So he hasn't fought in a long time. So that does add to the ring rust and things like that. Anthony Pettis has been fighting in the UFC for a while. He fought over quarantine UFC 249. He won a decision over Cowboy Cerrone. Then his going out fight.
Alex Morano
got a big one there.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in here, and a lot of the questions been, can Anthony Pettis become PFL star,
Right.
Because he does have a lot of star power. I mean, the UFC put him on the Wheaties box. He was a big deal at one point in time. And now that he's going to step back in competition, you were like, okay, maybe he can become a star for them, for them to really promote.
That was a huge free agent signing.
Yeah, and then for him to come out and just kind of in a bit of a whimper here.
Mm-hmm. Did not really present much. Like I said, third round landed a nasty head kick, flying knee combo that almost put Collard out. But to Collard's credit, tough as nails, survived it.
Yeah.
And it was all Collard rounds 1 and 2. And up until that happened, it was all him in the third round as well. So, yeah, odd performance out of Anthony. I'm sure we'll see him bounce back. I know he wants to go at 155 and 170 in PFL. So we'll see what's next for him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, for the rest, as we mentioned, Dana White doing a bit of a media tour this week in anticipation for UFC 261. In one of his interviews, he added some clarity to the heavyweight kind of Days of Our Lives drama that's going on. He said that Derek Lewis is likely next for Francis Ngannou, and said that John Jones reportedly asked for $30 million flat
That's
to
a lot.
fight
That's a lot of
Ngannou.
cheese. $30 million.
So let's start with the John Jones part. Now,
Someone's
again,
lying.
well, yeah, true. 'Cause John Jones came out on Twitter and denied this.
Yes.
He said, I did not ask for that. He said, if someone's telling you wrong, Dana,
Let
we
me
need
know.
to clear that up. Someone's lying.
Yeah.
But also, let's just take it, let's say that is what he asked for. Okay, let's just say that that's what it is. We don't know enough about fighter pay and, what these guys make.
I think there's so much more that goes into it than what we see that gets released.
But what I will say is that if you're asking, typically these champions, these high-level fighters, John Jones would be in that club, they earn on the pay-per-view side.
Yeah.
So you get 2 or 3 million, but if you're as big of a star as you think you are, then your pay-per-view should be through the roof.
Yeah.
And then you'll bank on the pay-per-view side.
That's why Conor makes shitloads of money.
That's why Conor made, I think for him and Cowboy, he made I'd say it was $50 million. But only
it shows how much the
But only
pay-per-view
3 of
splits
that was it was $3 million.
just to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody gets a flat rate.
Just $30 million. No.
Nobody just said,
not even Conor.
Yeah. And that's what Dana said that John was asking for. So if that's the case, you have to understand that might be just that comes off like negotiating your way out of a fight. It just comes off like you're just throwing out a number because they won't say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, give John Jones benefit of the doubt. It's all he said right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I saw a lot of people saying, and I won't deny that I kind of side with these people, is when John Jones denied it, he could have put out whatever figures he was asking for, whatever numbers he was asking for, and he didn't.
Yeah, we know for sure that he has asked for more than 8 to 10 million.
He said that was way too low.
That was at
His
the very
coach,
beginning.
Greg Jackson has said that John Jones is worth $50 million.
And technically, right in the middle of that is $30 million.
so it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It just it's not a great look for really this whole situation. But Derek Lewis looking like he's next for Ngannou. What are your thoughts there?
Knock on wood. Surely that fight doesn't go like the first time.
Right.
Because we don't even like to speak of it. If that fight happens and we break down the fight, we won't even talk about the first fight. No, I'm just kidding. We will, obviously, but you get what I'm saying. It's one of the worst fights in UFC history. Definitely, probably, it's one of the worst fights.
It's the most disappointing fight I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Because, it's one of the worst fights ever. But if you go off of what it could have been versus what it was, there's no bigger discrepancy than that.
In my story here, it kind of goes back to my story of when I was talking to JoJo Calderwood when we went to UFC 203.
Yeah.
My uncle came over to watch that pay-per-view. It was headlined by Stipe. The Francis and Lewis first fight. And I'm like, man, this co-main event's going to be nuts. These guys knock each other out or knock out all their opponents.
House
yeah, you were there. And I was talking it up to my uncle because he doesn't watch it very much, very frequently like us. Then the fight happens and it's an absolute shit fest.
Yeah.
And then he's like, dude, you had me come over and watch this? This was the fight? And then Stipe got knocked out in the main event, but I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, that night was rough.
It was a bad night. So that just tells you, this fight was awful. I don't think it would happen twice in a row, but you never know. If that's the fight, I'm not mad. Because technically, if you're talking about the number one contender, not counting John, it is Derek Lewis. Right. Derek Lewis has earned the title shot. It was just, we always thought, okay, John's going to be next, because obviously that fight's huge.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to it at all. It's literally the second best option. So I don't hate it. But I want John and Francis.
Yeah. I think everybody kind of does. It's complicated because in the past I have said, I was like, I think John should take a I don't want to say call it a tune-up fight because I think these
just
top
take one fight at heavyweight.
I said he should fight someone like Curtis Blades.
Yeah.
Show that you can fight at this weight class, and then the anticipation will be even higher when you do fight Francis. Now, there was, at that time, Stipe hadn't even fought Francis yet. And, I was saying John should have already by now fought someone at heavyweight, so that way the winners of,
each respective
fight
each other.
Then John win against Curtis or someone like that. They get match up at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
That's not really how it's gone, but we're still kind of in a stagnating, time right now. So if John's serious about this, if he's really wanting to fight, which, I don't know. It's just all messy right now.
All the training and hard work he's putting in, you got to think he wants it, right?
I mean, he's got to want to at least fight at the division.
It's weird.
So I would like to say that if we're going to move on, if we're going to pivot and go Ngannou Lewis 2, which I'm not upset about, then I want to see John Jones fight somebody. I don't want to see him he's already over a year off right now since his last fight. I respect that he did a lot of that because he wanted to properly get his body to a heavyweight frame.
And he has done. Yeah.
But now that he's there, you can't just shut it off and go back to light heavyweight. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't see him ever fighting down there again.
So now he's kind of stuck, right?
Yeah.
But you got to think a fight with Curtis Blades or Cyril Gane or something like that.
I'm going to ask you.
Or if he fought Stipe or something.
That was going to be my question.
Oh. Okay. So
boy. Think about it, though.
I mean, it'd be a big fight, but I don't think he'd be asking for $30 million.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what he did ask for, by the way. I'm just saying I don't think he would be asking for some outrageous amount.
Yeah.
If it's not a title fight and not against someone who can knock your lights out in one punch like Francis. But,
yeah. It's just drama.
Yeah. But it looks like it's going to be Ngannou Lewis too.
And again, we don't hate it.
And yet I'm somehow excited for it even after the first fight. So
yeah. We'll see what happens.
Good point.
Damn it, UFC 261.
But that's it for the news.
Oh yeah, the news. Damn it, UFC 261.
Ooh boy, do we have a lot to talk about here.
Buddy.
Let's start with our prelim notables, Dom, because boy, is there a lot that we could pick for this one.
There are a lot to choose from.
So what is your prelim notable here?
I'm going the very last prelim of the night, the featured prelim, Mr. Randy Brown. Man, I didn't know these guys had so much hostility against one another. First off,
did anybody? Hey, if anybody's listening, did anybody check out Randy Brown's Twitch stream?
we got to get on Randy Brown's Twitch.
Yeah, we got to know what happened.
Because apparently something happened after the weigh-ins on Friday. We don't know what it is. But Randy Brown puts on a hell of a performance against Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Looked great on the feet, hurt Alex with a nasty right hand. Yeah. I mean, that was a brutal shot. Alex never recovers. Then, to everyone's amazement, he hops on Cowboy's back and gets a one-armed rear naked choke submission. That's right, folks. He never locked the hands.
Nope.
He used Alex's own shoulder to lock in the rear naked choke submission and forces Oliveira to tap. Randy Brown's a guy that finishes so many of his fights, a guy with a lot of hype, very long, rangy, built, physically strong, unique fighter, and the biggest profile name on his resume thus far in his UFC career. And I'm excited to see what comes next for Randy Brown. That was a great way to kick into the shit show that was the main card. I mean,
that guy, he's fought a lot of notable people.
Oh, yeah.
Losses to Luque, Nico Price, Bilal Muhammad. But he's got wins over Mickey Gall, Brian Barberena, Warley Alves, and then Alex Oliveira kind of adding. He's one of those guys like Nico Price, like even Luque a little bit, where they're just always in these really fun fights. But for like him and Nico, they've never quite been able to get through the front door, get through to the top 15.
Well, like you were just reading with his resume, those big fights, especially the names like Luque, he would fall short.
Yeah.
But then he gets, like I said, this Oliveira, that's a huge name. This is a guy that's fought and been there and done that. So, interested to see what will come next for Randy now after getting that big win.
I mean, that's a submission of the year contender, by the way.
Yeah, I've never seen a rear naked choke
get locked.
Me
and Dom this year in anticipation for the second annual Joey's.
Yes.
We are keeping track of these of our award categories with an ongoing list throughout the year.
Because last year we scrambled and just threw them all that day. Yeah. But now we're keeping them as we go.
So Randy Brown, be on the lookout for that for submission of the year. The one arm.
Could be one of our nominees.
Crazy. My prelim notable. There's a lot I could choose from, but I'm going to go with Jeff Molina. I wish I could give it to both guys in this fight.
How about you do? Just give them the fight.
Yeah, I mean, both these flyweights, Jeff Molina and then Adriki Lang. On Wikipedia, it shows it as Keelang Aori.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on UFC's website.
But that was with the broadcast.
Yeah, they put it all together.
Adriki Lang.
Yeah.
So these two guys had an absolute war. It's a fight of the year contender. Literally, what this fight turned into, because Jeff Molina, we got the win. Unanimous decision, 29-28 times 2, 29-27. Molina was piecing up Adriki Lang for most of the fight. Mm-hmm. Most of the fight was Molina kind of on his bike, Adriki Lang pressing forward, and just getting pieced up.
Yeah.
But he just kept coming.
Yeah. He looked like Korean Zombie.
End of the second round hurts Jeff Molina. If there was 10, 15 more seconds in that round, that fight might be over. End of the third round, fight gets nuts.
Yeah.
He drops him. If there was 10 to 15 more seconds in that round, he might have won that fight. This fight was amazing. Jeff Molina, only 23 years old.
And Keelang,
only 27, I think.
Well, I think you told me, because I missed the very beginning, he's the youngest fighter on the UFC roster.
No, that's Rong Zhu.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a few of those kind of Asian fighters.
They had 3 straight on the prelims.
But Adriki Lang, 27, I believe, still very young. If this is what the future of flyweights looking like for the UFC, I'm very excited.
That's what they need.
That was a fight that got the crowd going. It was the second fight of the whole card.
Yeah.
First fight, women's strawweights, they had a banger as well.
That was a banger.
But then this fight of the year contender. I'm serious, people. Go watch it if you missed it. Because truthfully, we had to go back and watch it later.
Yeah.
Because we missed it on the original broadcast. So we had to go back and watch it. We saw like the very end and just saw how crazy it was.
It was nuts.
And then we got fight of the night. It was like, all right, let's go watch it.
Yeah.
Fight was amazing, though. Jeff Molina and Adriki Lang. I'm going to be on the lookout for you moving forward.
We love our prelim notables.
Yeah, I mean, you could have went with Ariane Carnellosi. She was the opener on women's strawweight.
Brendan Allen.
Patrick Sabatini had a nice performance. Dwight Grant. Obviously, Randy Brown. Like, really, all these guys. Dana Batgirl.
Yeah,
with that TKO over
Kevin Not TV Dad.
Yeah, 50 seconds. All these fights.
This whole card, absolutely unreal.
Yeah, people.
Unreal.
This is a card where you got to watch top to bottom.
13 straight fights. All of them were incredible.
Not a single fight would I say was bad.
No.
Everything. There was everything here.
Yeah, something to take away from every single fight.
But let's get into this main card. I'm so excited. I can't believe we haven't even done it yet.
It's time.
We opened at light heavyweight. Anthony Smith gets the TKO, doctor stoppage over Jimmy Crute at the end of the first round, so credited as a 5-minute round 1 TKO.
Mm-hmm.
Little disappointing because this fight was looking like it was really starting to pick up.
Yes.
But man,
it was everything we thought.
Anthony Smith landing the perfect leg kick, did he not?
And man, before the leg kick, did Anthony Smith look so crisp with them jabs.
The jabs were busting up Jimmy Crute.
And Crute, no slight to him, looked good. He did nothing wrong. I mean, he was fighting well, even after that
I think we were going to get a 3-round war.
Oh, yeah. Crute lands 2 big takedowns in the first round, reason being, as Noah aforementioned.
This fight was actually kind of crazy if you go back and rewatch it.
Anthony Smith numbs Crute's leg.
I'm still not sure if that's what happened or...
Imagine the Cheeto Vera kick to Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers that kick, and Sean's foot just gives way. It's almost what happened
here. Because Dana was acting at the post-fight press conference that maybe there was some ligament damage or something to Crute here. But yeah, he basically gets dead leg.
He couldn't walk.
And you just see his foot kind of rolling and stuff. And it's real nasty to
It's
like, oh,
weird.
God, don't break it.
It looked like a Play-Doh thing. It was
But
weird.
then he just lands 2 takedowns right after that. He can't walk on it. So he lands 2 straight takedowns on Anthony Smith. Because Smith notices this immediately and tries to pounce.
Yeah.
Crute goes for
finishes the round on top.
Yeah, makes the round very close.
Razor thin.
But I would have still scored it for Anthony Smith.
Because of the damage done.
So then
we go to
Jimmy
the corners.
Crute going back to the corners.
He barely makes
it. He gets up. The doctor's looking at him as he's standing, and he's like getting psyched up. He's getting psyched up. He's like, "Let's fucking go!"
But he's falling over.
Then he falls over once.
Yeah.
And then the the doctor's like, "Nope, calling it." Jimmy, not happy, but also was like understood.
Yeah.
And these guys had a lot of respect for each other.
This was the definition of just respect in mixed martial arts after this fight. Anthony Smith, is he just as humble as they come?
I don't understand how there's still people that don't like this guy. I don't.
Wake up, people.
And I also understand how there's people out there that still discredit his talent.
This man has now had 51 fights and he's 32 years old.
He's a guy who has really figured it out later in his career.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. You can sit there and look at his record. I hate when people take that boxing mentality with MMA where it's like, Jorge Masvidal. I saw a lot of that were talking about his 14 losses and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, no. No. The MMA is not like that. You can lose any given night.
Some of the best fighters in the world have losses.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
But you look at Anthony Smith in this move to when he moved to light heavyweight and the fights he's had there, the growth he's had in that division.
Unbelievable. He fought for a title.
He is legitimately one of the best fighters in the entire division.
Yes.
And very underrated.
Oh, yes. Severely underrated, in my opinion.
He just showed again, you can't take away from him what he did in this fight.
He looked incredible.
I was disappointed at first because I'm like, oh my gosh, this fight could have been awesome. And it was still a good fight for as long as it went. But you can't take away that he's the one that elicited that damage. It's just like Marlon Vera, Sean O'Malley, kind of, at least in my mindset about it now.
And for Jimmy Crute, still so young, man. This is a guy that's only 12-2. And you look at the losses, literally Misha Serkinov, a perennial top 10 guy, and now Anthony Smith fought for a title. There's nothing to take away here from Jimmy Crute in a negative aspect. He fought a great fight. You can't help the injury that happens. And again, it was just going back and forth. He looked good. But what do you think should be... Oh, you're about to ask that, I think.
Well, yeah, I'm about to tell you who I think should be next.
Do it.
Anthony Smith has been fighting backwards for a while. I think it's time he goes back to moving ahead and really shows that he can still fight for a belt if he so can. How about number 4, Thiago Santos? Oh. These are 2 former middleweights.
That'd be a middleweight rematch, too.
2 guys that have fought at middleweight. They're 2 former middleweights, obviously, in the UFC. Back in their probably rightful divisions and made big splashes here. But they're in opposite scenarios, kind of going in different directions right now. Santos on a tough... What is it now? 3-fight losing streak. He lost a title fight with John Jones that we both thought he won on one leg.
Yep.
Then he lost to Glover Teixeira in a very disappointing comeback fight where he looked really good early and then just got stopped.
Yeah.
Finished kind of gassed out. And then he had a kind of disappointing fight with Alexander Rakic.
Yeah.
But didn't necessarily look bad in that fight. Just overall not the best fight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 fights, but he's still ranked number 4. Anthony Smith, he had his troubles in 2020. They were well documented. Obviously, he had all that personal drama with his break-in at his house, and then when he comes back, looks great early against Glover Teixeira. Glover ends up dominating him for the later part of that fight, and it gets real kind of hard to watch. Ref should have stepped in sooner. Then he also gets pummeled by Alexander Rakic, but bounces back at the end of the year with a nice submission win over Devin Clark, who was unranked.
Yep.
Comes back here and beats number 13, Jimmy Crute.
Smith is just taking fights because he doesn't give a shit who you put in front of him.
But I think now it's time for him to fight ahead. And you got a guy like Thiago Santos who's on a 3-fight skid. Thiago needs to prove that he's still worthy of his spot in the top 5. And Anthony Smith, right at number 6. Give me that fight all day.
So I'm going Anthony Smith fighting the winner of our May 1st, or I'm sorry, not the winner, the loser of our May 1st headliner coming up between Dominic Reyes and Yuri Prohaska. Noah's boy, Yuri. Can't wait to see him.
Yeah, can't wait.
I think the loser of that would make a lot of sense because they would still be ranked ahead of Anthony. They would be, Yuri's number 5 right now. Dom's number 3. Very prominent names within that division. And I don't think Anthony fighting someone off of a loss hinders him. As Noah said, he would like him to fight Thiago. He's coming off 3 losses. But fighting any of these guys ahead of him is better than fighting guys behind him, no matter if they're on a losing streak or a win streak. And I think getting a big win over a guy like Yuri or Dom puts Anthony right back at the top, ready for potentially another title shot soon. He's fighting his way back. He's proven that he's not just going away easy. We counted him out. Or I'm not going to say we, because I never counted out Anthony Smith, damn it. But people counted out Anthony Smith, the Lionheart, and now he's bouncing back huge. 2 straight finishes. Really, when doesn't this guy finish fights? And the best thing about Anthony Smith, this man started fighting because he went into a Subway to get a fucking sandwich and saw a flyer to fight out in Nebraska. Just because of it. Never had training or anything and started fighting. So Anthony Smith, the literally nicknamed Lionheart, is perfect, and I can't wait to see him back in there again. Going the loser of our May 1st headliner.
Now for Jimmy Crute,
interesting.
It's less clear right now because we're going to have to see what kind of timetable he's going to have to even get back in the octagon. How much damage structurally was done to his knee and leg. But because of that, I'm like kind of... A lot of these light heavyweights, though, in that, you know, from Anthony Smith, number 6, all the way to Jimmy Crute at 13, everybody in between there, open right now.
Yeah.
You got Paul Craig and Jamal Hill fighting, that's 14-15. I still think you give Jimmy Crute another chance ahead of him right now. Maybe against a guy that's struggling. I'm going to say Ryan Spann, number 11. Ryan Spann losing to, or he defeated Misha Serkinov, so he's coming off a win right now.
Before that, lost to Johnny.
Lost to Johnny before that. Actually, maybe I go with number 12. I'll stick with number 11, Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, another big guy at light heavyweight. So, but he's also kind of a lanky guy as well. So that's going to present some problems for Jimmy, who's a little more stocky for 205.
Yeah. But
still very big in his own right. I think that fight could be a lot of fun. It just all depends on when Jimmy Crute gets back in there.
Noah, thoughts on Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, my friend?
I mean, you know I'm going to love that.
My goodness. I mean, Johnny hasn't fought in a long time. He did beat Ryan Spann in 2020. Haven't seen him fight since then. He's been training his striking with John Kavanaugh, Connor's head coach, improving his striking. And I think a battle with him and Crute would be absolutely just fireworks. 2 of the biggest named prospects in this light heavyweight division. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be absolute fireworks.
Yeah. Well said.
What a way to start the main card in such a weird way.
Yep. And we're going to follow it up with...
Have we ever seen a card start with 2 back-to-back fights like this?
No. Never.
And will we ever again? I hope not.
I hope not. So we go on to middleweight, a rematch 10 years in the making. Dominic wrote an article about this fight. I don't think you predicted this.
Well, I technically got the outcome right, but not how it happened.
Uriah Hall gets the TKO over Chris Weidman due to a leg injury 17 seconds into the very first round. I mean, guys...
This isn't just a leg injury.
This is a life-altering...
Career-altering, life-altering.
This was, think about... I saw a tweet kind of worded similar to this. We all had the night of our lives last night watching these fights, and Chris Weidman probably had the worst night of his entire life. Shows the differing perspectives.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about what happened. So the fight starts. Chris Weidman throws a single leg kick.
The first strike of the whole fight.
And his leg instantly snaps in half. And if you've seen Anderson Silva when he did it to Chris Weidman, the exact same injury.
And we were talking about this before we started recording, and I think we got to reiterate how crazy this...
Yeah. The irony. It's the irony, yeah.
So as Noah just mentioned, most of you probably have seen this at some point or another. Chris Weidman defeated Anderson to win the belt, shocked the world. That was a straight-up KO. Crazy. They give Anderson, of course, the immediate rematch. And in that bout, Anderson throws a leg kick that gets mildly checked, and his leg snaps. That's a TKO win for Chris Weidman. Here we are, 8 years removed, almost, and It happens to Chris Weidman the same way. And to make it even more odd, it was against Uriah Hall. Chris Weidman gave Uriah Hall his very first career loss in their first bout 11 years ago at Ring of Combat in New York City. Then they both go on to have such different careers. Uriah ends up fighting Anderson Silva on Halloween last year and essentially retires Anderson from MMA. Mm-hmm. So you have Weidman who stops his title reign, Uriah who stops his career. They meet again in a rematch, Hall and Weidman breaks his leg against Uriah.
It's just crazy how all three of their careers have kind of intertwined.
It's crazy. So,
this is awful.
It's heartbreaking, man.
You know, I know, like, a lot of people were kind of making fun of Weidman leading in here, and not that it was like, it was all in good fun, but
no one wants to see that happen.
But Weidman was kind of being the butt of a lot of jokes this week because of his comments talking about how he could beat Adesanya, how he thought he had 4 fights left. One of them would be winning the belt and then defending it and then retiring. Regardless of if you think he had a chance to do that or not, because I know the majority of people looked at that and were like, rolled their eyes and scoffed. A guy that was still that confident and really thought that this fight was like his return to kind of being the All-American, you know, the guy of middleweight, and to see him throw a single leg kick and it snap and then it's over, and it probably his entire career is over.
This could be career ending.
I know for Anderson it wasn't,
but Chris Weidman was. You look at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, he still fought.
Never saw the same.
You're right, but he was still fighting at a pretty high level afterwards. I'm just saying that Chris Weidman stylistically is a lot different of a fighter than Silva, and the injuries he's accumulated over the years are much more piled up.
Yeah.
So I think that this might be the nail. I don't know. I hate to even talk. I just feel icky talking about it. But also disappointing for Uriah Hall.
The poor guy.
Big opportunity for him here to kind of avenge a loss. That's not the way you want to do it. You could tell he just wanted to get out of there.
And Uriah was riding that win streak, finally starting to climb the ranks again, and it's just awful for both guys, and obviously complete different ways.
So out of respect for Chris Weidman, I'm not gonna talk about like
we wish nothing more than a speedy recovery and good health to Chris
So let's
Weidman.
talk about Uriah Hall here. Ranked number 9 coming in. He technically does get a win here, but is it really a win? Nah. I mean,
what was the tweet from Dana?
He's the first fighter in UFC history to win a fight without throwing a single strike.
Take that for what it's worth.
So, who do you think is next for him here?
Someone that you can turn him around quick.
Well, there's not a ton of available opponents that are kind of open right now. An interesting one, maybe if he wants to get turned around quick, the options are not. There's not a lot of them.
Am I crazy for talking about him fighting Jared Cannonier?
No, because I said Kelvin versus Jared Cannonier last week.
Jared is the only man that's essentially available.
I was going to say Darren Till.
Depending on the severity of his collarbone, that's not a bad fight at all.
Darren Till, or honestly, and people might call me crazy for this, Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
But they already fought, so I guess you wouldn't do that.
That's true as well.
No, and he got beat up by Paulo Costa. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't do that.
I think
Jared Cannonier and Darren Till are really the only two options.
And I think Cannonier would take that fight.
I would hope he would.
Because he's got to come back and win anyway, and Uriah would get a chance to still fight up. It's just so awful because he can't help what happened.
No.
He can't help that, I guess I did get a win. Like, it's just such a shitty situation for both guys. I think you reward Uriah just with something, you know? A guy that's still up there.
He shouldn't be hampered by this.
No, you can't punish a guy for that.
No. But I think it's time to move on
to
some more exciting things to talk about. All the best to Chris Weidman and his family.
Yes.
First title fight, we're talking about women's flyweight title.
The Queen.
Valentina Shevchenko retains with the TKO win with some elbows against Jessica Andrade, 3 minutes, 19 seconds into the very second round. What a performance. Performance of the year type beat.
Yeah,
maybe.
She was flawless.
Valentina, this was supposed to be her toughest test, and she made it look
one of her easiest.
Made it look so easy.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Jessica Andrade fan. I am. She might be my favorite female fighter.
She's awesome.
She had nothing here.
Nothing.
When Valentina, who is this killer on the feet,
world champion Muay Thai striker,
right, lands 7 takedowns.
The most. 7 for 7, by the way.
The most in any women's UFC fight in history.
Not one got sprawled.
You just have to wonder, like...
And not only does she take the fight to the ground, she finishes the fight on the ground.
Yeah, she gets her in the crucifix.
And I love the way Dana put it in the post-fight presser, where she just came out like she was angry. Pissed off that people were even giving Jessica a chance.
Yeah.
And she goes out there and essentially, not that, I don't want to say beats her at her own game, because Jessica knocks a lot of people out on the feet. But Jessica, to her core, is great at jiu-jitsu, very powerful, and can grapple very heavily. We saw that against JoJo Calderwood back at 135 pounds. Mm-hmm. And Valentina went in there and made it look so insanely easy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
She's levels above.
She's
like the boss in the video game that you just can't beat.
Going into this fight, I really thought for Jessica, the only way that she could pull out a win here was to kind of clinch up, use her strength, her power. And then it turns out she is not even
Valentina was stronger in the clinch.
The one time Andrade got good positioning for like a slam, she couldn't even get Valentina off her feet.
Wasn't even close. Yeah.
And I looked at that and I went, is this the right weight class for Andrade? Because at strawweight, she was throwing women around like they were rag dolls. And I know Valentina is the best of the best. But she literally couldn't get her off her feet.
It was crazy.
It was crazy the strength difference. And I just didn't see that going in here. And... yeah, Valentina puts her in a crucifix and lands some elbows.
Just like she did to Caitlin Chukagian.
It was just so impressive. And you could tell that this one felt really good for Valentina.
Oh,
she seemed very happy about this
and
one.
And then that Octagon interview with her, she says, they can keep training and keep doing all these things to beat me, but they never will. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a bad bitch. This woman is untouchable at 125 pounds. But we got to match her up with somebody.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's the winner of
Murphy Calderwood.
Lauren Murphy and Joanne Calderwood, happening at UFC 263.
Yeah, June 12th.
Valentina can take a little breather, wait a few months, and
the
winner of that, that's who I go with. For Andrade, I'm going to go with the first open opponent in the rankings. Number 5, Cynthia Calvillo.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Cynthia, coming off that tough loss to Caitlin Chukagian at UFC 255. Didn't look great there, but she's looked good in this division at times. I think she can offer at least something. She's not as big or as strong as some of these bigger and stronger flyweights, so that's where Andrade's strengths are going to come in.
Yeah. But
she also is a very good wrestler, and Andrade showed some flaws here.
That would be an interesting fight. I'm actually just going to agree with you. I think that is very interesting because Cynthia has shown, like Noah said, these sparks of why she was so hyped when she got into the UFC. But then at other times she's really faltered and not given much to show. Yeah. So with a test for her in Jessica Andrade, that would be the biggest name that she had ever fought, essentially. It definitely would be the biggest win if she were to beat Jessica. And for Andrade, it's not like you're giving her a slouch opponent in Calvillo either. That's a great stylistic fight.
Another just one that's a little bit more unrealistic, maybe not yet, Alexa Grasso.
Yeah. Alexa's got to get booked here soon.
But Alexa, number 10, I'll go with Cynthia for now. Moving on to our co-main event of the evening. Women's strawweight title on the line, and new again.
Rose
Namajunas KO's Zhang Weili, with a head kick, 1:18 seconds into the very first round.
Holy shit. It was
perfect. Do you believe in miracles?
Rose has now shocked the world twice when she's won her titles.
I don't even know what to say about this one, man. Who would have saw that coming? not, and I'm not saying, like, okay, out of all three of these title fights, the majority of the people that were picking a new champion were siding with Rose.
This was the 50-50 fight.
And you picked Rose, I picked Zhang Weili. So, starting out, you're watching the fight, everybody's buckling in for, like, 5 rounds.
I couldn't wait. That's what I thought it was going to be.
I was waiting for, like, the war here.
Zhang Weili in back-to-back fight of the years is what I said was going to happen.
And what I will say I think I got right.
The leg kicks?
Well, that did seem to be a part of her plan, was, at least for that first minute, Zhang Weili was really just throwing all leg kicks.
Yeah.
But what I think I nailed in our preview was that both these women coming off wars in their previous fights, someone was going to sleep here.
Yeah, that's true.
The first head kick landed flush.
This is one of the cleanest head kicks I've ever seen.
Zhang Weili fully expecting a kick to the body, but it goes upstairs.
Oh, the timing. I mean,
beautifully.
Weili's hands just cleared her chin to go down to block the body. Foot to the face.
Yep.
Asleep.
And Rose has done it again. Back. She did it again. Nobody thought she would beat Joanna, and she came out and starched her. People gave her a chance here. A lot of people thought she might win.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody saw it happening the way it did.
And now she's the first female in UFC history to reclaim her former title.
Yeah, that's such an interesting stat that I just never really thought about.
And this woman is still, let's see, I just want to make sure I get this right. 28 years old.
Only 10-4 in her professional MMA career.
Absolutely crazy, the ceiling that Rose Namajunas has. And Trevor Whitman may just be the best coach in the game right now. We're going to get more into that in the main event. But Thug Rose, that crispy, clean striking we're so used to seeing, that quick movement on the feet, shows again here. Outside of the leg kicks, Weili really couldn't find the range in terms of the head strikes and body strikes.
Well, I think here's what I think. I think Rose was pretty much leading the dance, as they say.
It was her pace.
Weili was very much reacting to what Rose was doing, and Rose was the one that was initiating everything. And that's where you fall into a trap like that. Good stoppage. I thought. I know Weili wasn't happy, but I think that was more because I think that was because she was just so out of it. So, what's next? Well, Dana in the post-fight press conference said something about the rematch.
I don't like that.
I'm okay with it. I'm not upset by it. I get it, first round knockout, but I wouldn't be upset by it because I think Zhang Weili is out. Her and Joanna, I think, are. Well, okay. Let's talk about the other option. The winner of Carla Esparza and Zhou Yan.
That's the number one contender fight.
Yeah, that's what it should be if you go by.
Yeah.
The right.
Yeah.
Stages here, but so I'll agree with you there. I think the winner of that fight should be next.
Yeah.
So then, what's next for Zhou Yan?
Well, now it's way easier to solidify a rematch with her and Joanna now. I don't think that's what I want, but it's way easier to solidify it now because Joanna was saying she's fighting the winner of this fight. Man. I was like, nah. I love Joanna, but nah. You can't fight for another belt. All you do is fight for belts.
Yeah.
But now, with Zhang Weili losing, they can essentially have the rematch and be a number one contender fight.
So I said that I wanted Joanna to fight somebody.
Mackenzie Dern.
But I actually think I'd rather see Zhang Weili fight that Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, really?
And then that would be a number one contender fight.
That's probably an easier fight to make because we really don't know what Joanna wants to do right now.
Tell me you wouldn't want to see that.
I love that fight.
5-round main event.
I'm shocked you said that, but I love that.
I want that as a fight night headliner. I want Zhang Weili, Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern, an absolute buzzsaw when it comes to the ground game.
And improving so much in the feet.
Yeah. But Zhang Weili, the big, strong, powerful striker.
Man, getting her biggest test in terms of grappling.
Who is growing in her grappling, but again, not the level.
Mackenzie Dern is a different beast.
So both of these women have a stark advantage over the other. Who wins out?
Yeah, I don't
Winner
hate that.
gets the next title shot. I know that kind of leaves Joanna in no man's land, but she'll find her way.
Yeah, she's JJ.
Yeah, she's JJ. She'll find her way.
Joanna champion, but. There's one more title fight to talk about, damn it.
The welterweight title was on the line. Kamaru Usman showing that he might be the best welterweight of all time.
And I believe, Noah, we're talking about the pound for pound greatest fighter in the UFC that is active currently right now.
That was a mouthful.
Yes.
Who's out of it if you're saying active right now?
Well, they have John Jones, but he is not active.
Oh. Kamaru Usman knocks out Jorge Masvidal 1:02 into the second round.
Yeah, knocks him right. Out. Cold.
Out cold. First round of this fight, very back and forth, I thought. Usman stunning Masvidal a couple times. The jab.
Landed a takedown.
Yep, landed a takedown. But even with that takedown, Masvidal very active.
Got back up.
Got back up.
It was a close round.
At the end of that fight, in my head, I went, okay, this fight might go 5 rounds, but I think this might end up being like the... I'm still going to say it's my fight of the night, if we're going by main card.
Yeah, it probably should be. Yeah.
But... in my head, I went, this might be the fight that we thought we might not get, like a 5-round, like really good technical fight. Then,
man,
second round, Usman does land a good shot leading up to the knockout. Masvidal sticks his tongue out at him,
laughs it off.
Not even 5 seconds later,
he's asleep.
Usman throws
a right cross,
the best overhand right I've ever seen. Masvidal.
It looked like a knockout you see in movies.
You see the sweat fly off his hair and everything.
Oh, man.
And he's out limp. But Usman landing some ground and pound to finish him off. Irv Dean stops it. It's over. Wow.
I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I remember right before the fight started, one of our buddies looked at you and went, Dom, do you really think that Usman can knock out Masvidal? And you were like, oh, I don't know, And that's the second time that Masvidal has been credited with a KO loss in his career.
And the first time
in this decade. First time since 2009, 2008, one of the two. Come on.
And the first time he's ever been put to sleep.
Can you guys stop disrespecting Kamaru Usman?
Oh, he's just the grappler. He's a wrestler. He's so boring. 3 of his last 4 wins, all on the feet, knockouts.
And he's getting better.
He's terrifying. That's terrifying.
The fact that he's making these much improvements on his feet, you guys, you gotta stop. Whether you like him or not, like I get it. If you don't like his personality, whatever, that's fine. But you gotta respect the abilities. You gotta respect the talent. This guy is the best fighter in the UFC that is active, as you said.
Yes.
If you don't count John Jones, and even if you do count John Jones, guess what?
Shit.
I'm probably putting Usman in front of him at this point.
He's the pound-for-pound king right now.
Because we think John Jones has been losing fights.
That's true. And now has 4 title defenses.
Usman, I mean...
he's chasing George St. Pierre.
I don't know who's beating this guy. If you want to look at... if you really want to go back and look at his performance, there was some wild striking going on in the first round from him. Did you notice that, if you remember a little bit?
Yeah, he threw a couple.
So I think that there is the potential down the line that
he was getting overzealous.
Maybe he falls a little too in love with the knockout and gets caught, because he did get caught against Burns. But it sounds like right now, if you don't land a perfect shot on this guy and put him out right away,
you're fucked.
Then there's no game plan that he won't figure out and counteract.
Because if you do get the best of him on the feet, he's taking your ass down. And you're screwed on the floor. Yeah. And it seems we know who's next, so we really don't have to matchmake.
It's Colby Covington.
Yeah, it's Colby too.
Yep.
So and back-to-back rematches here for Usman.
And truthfully,
it makes sense.
Colby
did win a fight.
Colby will forever. Loss, so. He's always going to be Kamaru's toughest opponent.
Yeah.
He matches Kamaru on the ground. He might even be a better wrestler than Kamaru. But if you go from their first fight, where both guys sloppy in the striking department, but they had an all-out war.
And Usman still got the TKO.
And you look at the improvements Usman has made in his striking. I can't necessarily say Colby has made those same improvements.
Oh, my.
It makes you wonder if this fight's going to go any different. If not, more sooner. For the champ.
Yeah. But he very well may be untouchable.
Colby Covington, though.
That's the fight, though.
That's the fight, though.
And I'd say probably then the fall.
The toughest matchup for Kamaru that he'll ever have.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say turn Kamaru around quick again because he didn't get injured too much, and Colby's available. But the problem is June's booked and July's booked, so let's try for August at the earliest.
Now for Jorge Masvidal.
Loser Leon Nate Diaz.
Okay. The loser. Interesting.
I think the winner is going to get a title fight after Colby, to be truthful. Especially if it's Leon.
Okay.
And if Nate wins, then they're going to definitely want to put Nate for a title fight, just because.
That'll be interesting.
Because I don't know, you got a storyline both ways.
Well, I don't know when Usman Covington 2 is happening. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess they could. That could be next. It probably should be, but it's like, you got to have a guy fight in May, but not actually fight for a title until like February.
December or January, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It just depends on when. Because Kamaru has fought twice in
71 days.
Yeah, so I mean, he's probably deserves a little bit of time.
I'm not opposed if he wants to get right back in.
Yeah, I agree. Now for Mr. Gamebred.
I'm curious to see what you think.
I'm gonna do a fun one. As much as I want to say someone like Vicente Luque, I'm gonna give a fun one. How about Nick Diaz?
Oh my!
Nick Diaz talked about returning. Dana White even said,
I'm leaving, dog.
Dana White said last night that Nick Diaz was waiting for him in the back to talk about coming back and fighting.
You just broke my brain.
Him and Masvidal. Jorge is probably
coming in to avenge the little brother.
Yeah.
Oh my!
We haven't seen Nick Diaz fight literally in almost a decade.
We could actually see a BMF title defense potentially.
I'm not opposed.
I hate it, but I'm just saying.
Not
Wouldn't
opposed.
be surprised. Oh, you bastard!
Nick Diaz looks like he's in really good shape.
Oh, he looks phenomenal right now. Both similar in age.
He was at the fight Saturday night.
Dana said he's having a meeting with him last night before he left Florida.
So, I think there's a good chance that that's the fight that gets booked.
Yeah, you got to think, like, you know, we're talking about a Stockton, California guy. Why did he travel all the way to Florida for that fight?
But I will say it is interesting that Dana didn't turn down the idea of
him and Hamzat. Yeah.
So,
I love Jorge Nick Diaz. Yeah. That is a sick fight for the fans. That would be awesome.
You could do that as a pay-per-view headliner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
the return of Nick Diaz would be humongous.
Yeah. Nate would probably be in his corner.
Yes.
I think that's the fight.
You can't go wrong with that at all. That's one of the best that's one of the best result and recap episode fight predictions you've ever done. That one right there.
Thank you.
Holy.
Did you want to throw another name out there?
No. Leon loser. Nate loser.
Okay. Gotcha.
Kamaru Usman is the king.
Kamaru Usman is the king. Look, he's, Matt Hughes is one of my favorite early day fighters. Kamaru has passed him in my eyes.
Kamaru is now officially on the chase for GSP.
Yeah, he's the number 2 welterweight of all time. It's crazy just to see kind of the growth he's had because, I didn't think he would beat Tyron Woodley way back when. Dominates him.
Yeah.
And then every step of the way has just gotten better and better and better.
Can we give a small shout out to Trevor Whitman here?
Well, I'll let you take that one.
Trevor Whitman earned Coach of the Year just off of last night. He has Rose Namajunas KO Zhang Weili to become the champ again. He has Kamaru Usman beat Gilbert Burns 70 days ago with a jab that he helped Kamaru create, and then knocks out Jorge Masvidal cold at UFC 261. Trevor Whitman is a mad scientist, an absolute genius in the striking realm, and it is so intriguing to me that this man doesn't have these giant camps with all these fighters, 500 people fighting in his gym with memberships and stuff. No. He's got a little warehouse where he makes his own gloves and fighting gear. Oh, and by the way, he trains 3 of the best fighters in the world. Justin Gaethje, Rose Namajunas, Kamaru Usman. That's a fucking dream team right there. Trevor Whitman is a genius, one of the best coaches in the MMA right now. I had to give a shout out there.
I think that's a good way to kind of wrap this up.
My goodness.
So that's going to wrap up. Hashtag UFC 261 results and recap.
Could you have had a better fight card to bring fans back?
No, the fans were incredible, by the way. I know we've given our opinions before. Our hot takes episode, we said
Yeah, it was special last night.
We prefer the fights without fans, but
it was special
last night. If we get more like that, which my opinion right now, the rest of 2021 and maybe even after that, that's what you're going to be seeing a lot of.
Because they're returning to new places for the first time.
So all these people that this is likely maybe their first big event they're going to.
Next month we'll see it in Houston. We'll see it in Vegas
So we'll
in
take
July.
a week and we'll see.
Hopefully there's no aftermath.
No backlash. Yeah. Hopefully no negative stories. And then I think this is going to be literally the norm.
They're going to keep churning them out.
Fight nights probably expect within a couple months to probably start going back to being in a bunch of different places.
Which means maybe they treat us for Ohio.
Let's go, Dana.
Hey, we had to cancel last year. Come on.
Give us Columbus, baby.
Give us Stipe.
But
that's all we got.
As for the rest of the week, Friday.
Yeah, your boy. Headlining.
Big headline fight on ESPN.
This man went from the prelims to a main event.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Dominic Reyes trying to bounce back, going up against Jiri Prohaska, who's got a literal tree growing out of his head.
Oh, yeah, he does have
his
crazy
hair looking wild
right now.
But I love the guy.
Yes. Whole card is pretty fun.
Yeah, and Cub Swanson, Giga Chikadze, another one of my boys, Cub.
Co-main and
Killer Cub.
That's awesome.
So I'm very excited for this card happening on ESPN. We'll be previewing that on Friday. Be on the lookout for all that. But until then, Dominic, tell the good people where they can find you on social media.
On Twitter, on Instagram, at DSlee14. And find the podcast, more importantly, on Twitter, on Instagram, at BAJ_MMA podcast.
And as for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram, at NTBaker_, you'll be taken to our link tree, which gives you the links to all the platforms that the podcast is on, along with the social media platforms. That includes the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, and Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. It's all on there, baby. And there's a couple links for the Anchor page. First, leaving a voice message. If you have a thought about an upcoming fight, about these fights that happened Saturday night, a news story, if you just want to say hi or tell us we're a piece of shit, you do it there. And there's a link if you want to become a supporter of the podcast. That just provides us with a few dollars a month. All that money goes back into improving the quality of the podcast, whether it be audio equipment or down the line doing a video podcast. So again, you can find all of this if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at NTBaker_. But with that, we're out and we'll see y'all on Friday.